watoto walipotoka nje, naye wakaita mama, wakasema tunasikia mtu analia kwa nyumba jikoni. Kuna jikoni ambayo haifanyi kazi, lakini mtu analia huko. Mama akaenda kwa hiyo nyumba, akafungua mlango, akapata ni mtoto wake ambaye alikuwa ameshatungwa kisu kwa tumbo na kisu ingine ametungwa kwa shingo. Basi mama ndipo akaamusha watu, na watu wa saa hiyo walikuwa wanafanya wanafuturu.
The president of this country to come in aid of Matungu people. Sababu sasa inaonekana it is beyond us. Atufanyie lolote lila anaona ili watu wangu waokolewe kwa hii fifo. Since I said kama mimi kiongozi ninahusika wanichunguze. And it was good. They have arrested me. Nikaenda wakafanya uchunguzi na ninashukuru Mungu kwa sababu wamepata mimi sihusiki kwa jambo lolote.
Tonight, Matungu in the county of Kakamega is still making news headlines for all the wrong reasons. The area has recorded a spate of killings in recent months, culminating in Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i cracking the whip and deploying elite units of the General Service Unit in the area to try and beef up security. Despite that, tonight, the people of Panyako village in Matungu in the county of Kakamega are mourning. That is following the brutal murder of a 7-year-old boy, Malik Moy. Malik was stabbed to death last night just outside their home, bringing Matungu back into sharp focus. This is a big story. I am Ben Kitili, sitting in for Linda Ogutu. Shall be trying to try and see what the problem really is over the last 2 months. According to police sources, more than 20 people being killed in Matungu alone. We shall be, our lead reporter Sophia Onona will be speaking to Chairman of the Security Committee of the National Assembly, Paul Koinange. And to joining me in studio to try and dissect this for us is Professor George Wajakoya, a lawyer, as well as Bernard Wakoli, a governance expert. Both gentlemen hail from Matungu in the county of Kakamega, so they understand the issues there. Let's start with Sophia Onona, who earlier today talked to the chairman of the National Assembly's Security Committee, Paul Koinange.
Good evening, Ben. So today the big story is the killings that have been going on in Matungu, Kakamega County. 18 deaths reported in at least under a month. The latest being yesterday evening, a 7-year-old boy was stabbed to death. A very worrying situation for the country. And of course, Ben, you remember this coming just 3 days after CS Interior Dr. Matiang'i visited the region. But it appears the perpetrators, the criminals, the gangs behind these killings are not cowed by this calls for this to stop. But more importantly, they have not been brought to book. Remember, there were arrests that were made, the politicians that were suspected of funding these attacks, including former CS Echesa and MP, or rather Senator Kakamega County, Cleophas Malala, amongst others. They have since been released, and so calls are what will be done to ensure this killing stop. This is not the first time we're witnessing this kind of killings. And so let's talk to a man who is supposed to, in his role as chair of the committee in the National Assembly of Administration and National Security, hold to account those charged with protecting Kenyans' lives wherever they are. Thank you very much, Honorable Paul Koinange, for making time for us. Let's begin with, of course, outrage that these killings appear to be going on unabated. And the concern is that the security apparatus and the system, all the way from the top to the bottom, has failed Kenyans on this particular issue. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, right now, what we are doing with our security forces, we know for sure they are trying their level best. And I would like to assure Kenyans that security operators who are there, and especially the persons who are on top of issues, the Director of Criminal Investigation and the DPP, they are a fresh blood in fighting criminals and the gangs which have been in this country. And I want to assure Kenyans, things are not as they have always been, because I can tell you, we have already very special equipment that on the scene of crime, where these perpetrators with their people have been killing our people, we can be able to know who has committed the crime. So this is not going to be like it used to be in 2007, where people were killed and things was kept quiet. Kenya is part of the global community, and we have really been very quick in responding to the issues that are there. And what we are really concerned is actually how to be able to get the criminals on the ground. And let me say, Sophia, what is happening right now, and the worst part of it, it is actually leaders who are inciting and preparing their own gangs and criminals to actually go and kill our people. At the same time, they are doing this because they have ambition for 2022 or prove a point of 2022.
But then let me ask you, sir, if that then is the case, and we saw the arrests of the suspects, the politicians, they have been released, that no evidence has been found linking them to these murders. So what are we saying? That they do not have the capacity then to investigate? We know for a fact it is certain individuals, but we are not able to nab them?
Yeah, like I've said, already we have a very good system of knowing who have committed a crime, perpetrators, and actually the gangs and the criminals who have been given to do the job. And I know that people in Kenya, whether you have done a crime, you have always to given a chance, and that's why people are given a bond. But I can tell you, we are going to pursue these people up to the end and make sure that Kenya, every Kenyan can live peacefully. Because if we move on like the way things are happening now in Matungu, investors who come outside from another places, they'll be scared of the area. And this thing, because of the way politicians are doing, it could spread to other areas, which is the wrong thing. And that's why you saw the other day, the president said, please, let's go and do development. Let's leave politics alone. Because this is a political initiative. It is not any crime. Because you can imagine the people who are doing this is not because they don't have a business to do, but they are doing this because they have been sent to go and show other people that they can also prove that they actually in supremacy of the area. And this is wrong, because people are the owners of that particular area, and they're the voters.
But yet, sir, even those, you're talking about the masterminds and that you will pursue them, they will be pursued by the authorities. But even those perpetrating these atrocities, these gruesome murders, none of them has been brought to book. And perhaps the expectation for Kenyans watching tonight, for you being the chair of the National Security Committee, is to be concerned with accountability on the systems of security apparatus, especially at the county level. There is a county security committee headed by the county commissioner. They're all levels, from intelligence officers, from OCS there. You have a chief, assistant chief, all of these people. With all these killings continuing, back to my initial question, is it a failure? Because clearly, even when the CS himself went, then now another killing after the fact. So it appears there is something that's not working within our apparatus, not only to bring the perpetrators to justice, but to stop these killings.
I can assure you, and I want Kenyans to know, that government is doing something about the perpetrators and the criminals who have committed these crimes of killing. And I can assure you, I won't be surprised before the end of this week, there are many people who are going to be taken to court, and they'll be charged, and some of them for murder, because we are not going to allow gangs and criminals to take over the job that is supposed to be done by our people to protect our people. And we must take care of our people. And I'm very, very sure that the DCIA and the people on the ground, and even the county commissioners, the DCC, 24 hours, they are doing something about it. And I can assure you, with the end of the week, Kenyans will be happy to see that something is being done, so they can feel that they are free and they are safe. Wherever they go to work, they feel very safe.
Yeah. Because the other problem, sir, that arises is this killings in that region. It's not the first time.
No.
The kind of gangs we've heard about, they almost have had a free hand. Sometimes the murders are on the rise, like this particular instance, then they go underground, then again. So that even when you give this assurance, there are many who may not take it seriously, because we've seen this happen over and over again. So there is a problem, but it appears we are not getting to the bottom of it. Just assurances that it will come to an end, but really not coming to an end, sir?
Yeah, I can assure you how far we have gone. And like I explained to you, this is not like in the past. You know, in the past, you can kill somebody, you can run away from the action you have taken. But today, Kenya has gone very high in technology. We have very, very sophisticated technology that you cannot run away from what you have done. If you kill somebody, you have to be followed by the agency. So the DCIA is already following the people who have committed the crime. My job with my fellow members of parliament in the national security is to actually follow Kinoti, because my part, I've already given him enough money for operations, so I want him to move very, very fast. Arrest these people, and he should know that Kenyans are not happy because of what is happening. And is this not the way to actually let Kenya be like this at this particular time? Yeah. Because the whole nation want a peaceful. Yeah. And that's why we are saying, if there's a handshake, then we expect the handshake to be spread everywhere, but not some people to go and say they want to continue fighting in their own area, which is very wrong. Yeah. I believe Kenyans want to be in peace at this time so they can continue to work. And you saw the economy has not been good. So if you add crimes like this one, which are being done, is very, very painful for Kenyans. Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you then, as you talk about, the DCI, he's better equipped now. Is your committee concerned on accountability of the security officials at the county level? Of course, it's explicitly a function of the national government, but there are officers all the way down, as I mentioned. Yeah. Are you holding those to account? Because, yes, investigations will happen, sir, but to stop this, that this is happening under their watch, accountability for that as well.
Yes, I can assure you we have actually gone up to the level of sub-county to see what is happening. And I can tell you some few months back, I was in the area of Bungoma and the areas where we have a problem. And we will go there again. And where we go and we hear from public that there is a problem of certain officials because they are not doing their job, we actually make the IG see to it and remove that particular officer and bring the right person who is willing to serve the people. Because, we are human beings. And not all officers are sleeping on their job. But there are some officers who are sleeping on their job. And that's why there's usually lapse of security in different areas, because officers are sleeping on their job. So our job is to push and make sure that the IG, the DIG, and all the other officers, they make sure they work. And after all, what I say, to serve in the service is a calling, and you should be called to serve and protect your people.
Right. Yeah. Let's also talk about, under the National Police Service Act, there's the County Policing Authority. Yeah. And in essence, this is supposed to bring all the stakeholders on board, the communities, the security agencies, alongside, of course, the National Police Service. We have not seen that taking the lead. And you'd imagine it's a critical organ that would almost work like Nyumba Kumi community policing, so that people can pass information of what they are seeing. How can that be strengthened so that there's a bigger role of the people being involved to help the police curb this kind of crimes?
You see, with the new system that we are putting, the new police reforms, is supposed actually to address these issues, to make sure that all the security operators from Nyumba Kumi, community policing, the OCS, DCI, and all of them, they work together. In that way, working together, they will be able to achieve a lot to make sure there's security in the area. For example, now, the issues that have been happening in Matungu, they should have known who actually are the perpetrators. Even before they do it, they should have known. And so we can arrest them. So there could be also a failure of that committee. And this is something that they need to wake up and make sure that they meet and get all the intelligence information and even information from the public. And these things would have not happened if that coordination is there.
Yes.
So I think they are failing also to meet as a security committee.
Right.
And this is something that they should do.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally, sir, to the point that other than what is going on in Matungu, we have seen other parts of the country where killings are a big concern, that every other day there's reports, whether it's cattle rustling, killings occasioned by that, so that you have Kapedo, you have West Pokot, you have Marakwet as well. In some of these situations, we've even seen the president go.
Yeah.
After he's left, more killings. We've seen the IG, even the former, go. After they've left, more killings. So there are those Kenyans, and I keep hammering onto this question because there are those who are concerned, and you being the man in charge of the committee that's to hold the leadership of our security agencies to account, concerned that perhaps it's not clear what should be done, because if deaths will continue to be reported from certain parts of Kenya over and over, as if they are not governed under the rule of law, the wild west of sorts, the wild north, if you like. What do you tell those who feel like they've been forgotten, that this is not Kenya and the government is not there for them?
We are actually addressing the issue of even the cattle rustling area. We have quite a number of areas where we have different conflicts. And I'll say that, for example, cattle rustling, that is actually initiated by also leaders and also cartels, which are actually doing that so they can get meat and sell. And let me say, a kilo of meat is equally expensive as petrol. So many people will do that kill people, so to get those cattle so they can sell. So we also want to make sure there are very many young people who are also involved in this thing because it's a good business for others. We want to change the mindset of our people in those areas, and we give them new things to do. Because, for example, where there's cattle rustling, instead of just thinking of blood animal, why don't we take them to and issue irrigation and do other things and remove them from animals? And they'll equally be able to do and have a living by changing from animals to soil. And this is very important. And then we need to speak to their leaders, all of them. As a matter of fact, we are going on 27 to Laikipia with the CS to speak to all the leaders from there, the governors and all the members of parliament, so we can come up with an agreement. Because if they agree to work together to bring peace in that area, definitely we are going to have peace. You know, leaders are there to bring peace and unify people. And when they talk to them, it is possible to have peace. But when the leaders are not talking to them, they'll be the first people who are engineering to make sure that there's killing. And a leader from any area who want to feel that he should be recognized that he's the top leader in that area, then you're not a leader. Because a leader is the one who reasons together with other leaders and they work together with other leaders. Because whether you're Turkana or you're Samburu or you're Pokot, you're a Kenyan and you need to work together with other tribes.
And yet, sir, at the risk of sounding like the devil's advocate at this rate, even when there have been those talks, those peace caravans, even deals and ceasefires reached in the various counties and areas we've witnessed conflict, it has reoccurred. They appear not to hold long enough. So would you say finally, I know it said finally before, but to CS Matiang'i and the officers under him, that they need to figure out how to go about securing all parts of Kenya? Do they need to improve and pull up their socks in your view?
Yes, I believe what we really need to do, and it's my prayer, I was with the head of Public Service Commission the other day, we need to bring people who have been there before and bring them back in administration to help the group that is there. Because if administration and police work together with Nyumba Kumi and community policing, we can be able to bring order. But above all, it is our leaders. Our leaders should be honest. They should stop to be hypocritical. What they say, they should mean what they say. So they don't make our people die from time to time. And I think they should respect what the president is asking. He's asking for peace in the country so people can work together and peacefully live together. You can imagine there's those young boys in their own areas who are carrying guns at this age. When will they ever know what is education? When will they ever know that Kenya have changed and it is part of the global community? Because what we are doing right now is not what we expect other countries to think about Kenya. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for making time for us. Honorable Paul Koinange is a chairperson of the National Security Committee in the National Assembly, also the Member of Parliament, Kiamba constituency. And so he says the leaders in this country must be more honest, must be more sincere. But of course, for Kenyans is if in fact there are leaders known, suspected to be fanning this violence in different parts of the country, they must be brought to book. That there is no wavering on, must be the clear message that is put out there and of course acted upon, Ben.
Thank you, Sophia. Our lead reporter, Sophia Onono, speaking to the National Assembly Security Committee Chairman, Paul Koinange, Member of Parliament for Kiamba, earlier on tonight. Police sources have told KTN News that more than 20 people have been killed in Matungu alone in the last 2 months, today being the latest. We understand this has brought to the focus a lot of what's happening there. Four politicians have been arrested. There has been a political angle as well, this including the Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, former Cabinet Secretary Rashida Chesa, the Member of Parliament for Matungu, Justice Murunga, and a member of the County Assembly, Mayoni MCA, Libinas Oduori. There has been discussion, debate, fingers being pointed at two gangs from that region. That is the 42 brothers and 14 brothers being brought into this. Speaking to villagers from Panyako, where the latest killing happened, they are saying this. They are relating this to rituals or a cult. Let's bring two gentlemen who are very familiar with Matungu in the county of Kakamega, and that is lawyer Professor George Wajakoya and Bernard Wakoli, governance expert. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the big story tonight. Let me begin with you, Bwana Wakili. Just what is happening in Matungu? More than 20 people being killed in the last 2 months alone. The CS Interior beefing up security in the area, but the killings continue. Just what's happening, sir?
Thank you very much for calling me in the studio today. And I also thank you for calling my brother Wakoli, whom we come from the same place in Matungu.
Right.
My first reaction to this is my message of condolences to my constituents, the Matungu constituency. The most peace-loving people in this country have now been turned into epigots of brokers and some kind of illiterate politicians who want to settle scores because of 2022. And I do have to agree with the Honorable Paul Koinange for what he has explained, for having taken the national trend to discuss, to visit Bungoma, to discuss issues. And he has also pointed out very correctly that it's political kind of mindset that is leading into people being killed. Secondly, before I let my brother to speak, is there have been issues that have been there before. Number one, who attacked Mumias police station and caused mayhem, and what happened? Number two, who killed that young man who was working as an accountant in Mumias Sugar Company?
All right.
Number three, who has been behind the killing of pastors in Matungu? Number four, why haven't the police taken precedent into investigating those particular crimes? Number five, why is it that, and I will ask my Matungu constituency, why is it that you keep on electing illiterate leaders who do not come in to defend you? But I will not digress to that particular level.
All right, so Bwana Wakili, you seem to think that it is basically political from where you sit. Is that what you're saying?
But it's political because we can see what has been happening and the government has not done anything. Now, for Matiang'i to take the GSU in the place, following the footsteps of the former Vice President, Honorable, the late Saitoti, taking the army into Saboti area to annihilate and cause mayhem, is what exactly he has done. Where is the Director of Intelligence? The Director of Intelligence ought to have known what's going on and advise the government accordingly. So I see a lot of things that are happening, And I also see that the government is taking a heavy burden of taking the army. More or less, GSU and army, there's no difference. Right now in the ground, people are being beaten, people cannot assemble together, young men are being disrupted.
All right.
I mean, it's just too much for me to bear, because that's my home.
All right, we'll get into that later on, the effectiveness of what the Interior Cabinet Secretary has been doing over the last 1 or 2 weeks. Mr. Wakoli, thank you for joining us on The Big Story tonight. You also have a very good understanding of the area of Matungu. What is your initial reaction to the killings that have been ongoing for the last 2 months or so?
Thank you very much, Bwana Kitili, and welcome viewers. I think what's happening in Matungu is a very sad situation, given that Matungu, as a constituency, has experienced somehow relative peace compared with other constituencies around. You remember that Matungu borders Bungoma and it borders Busia. Right. So is a very cosmopolitan constituency. And we also remember that the immediate former MP for Matungu was actually from a minority community. That is Honorable David Were, who was originally from the Luo community.
All right.
So you remember that Matungu is a very peaceful constituency. But what's happening now, as my brother Wajakoya has alluded to the fact that it might be actually political, is something that need to be investigated. But until now, we are not seeing the security apparatus taking into action, moving into action, and apprehending those who have been, adversely mentioned. And by being lacking behind, there has been an emergence of counterattacks. We have a number of now young boys, borders, who are mobilizing themselves and going to counterattack those who are suspected to be involved in those crimes. And by doing so, we have had experiences where these border young people are going to attack very innocent youth and killing them, even at the nearest police post. For example, last Friday, I was at home, and there's a young man who was killed at a Ginger Junction. For those who come from Matungu, know the junction. And there's Koyonzo police station just immediately there. So I went to the police, I drove to the police station and asked them, why are they allowing somebody being killed at the junction and the police are just seated? And they told me, hey, Bwana Wakoli, just go home and relax. You know, such kind of statements coming from the police who are supposed to protect individuals, who are supposed to maintain law and order, is very sad.
All right. There's also been this link, the 42 brothers and 14 brothers, the gangs that have made headlines before in that particular region. Does that make any sense for you?
It doesn't make...
Mr. Wakoli.
Okay, for me, the issue of 42 and it's 14 and those other brothers, they don't make sense in Matungu. Matungu has never had this experience where we have guns coming in. Even if they are there, then they are strangers to the Matungu community and to Matungu constituency. And I want to make it clear that, just in the words of Wajakoya, few years ago, a police station in Mias was attacked and guns were stolen. Instead of police going for those who had stolen, who had masterminded the attack on the police station, they went for those young people within the community whom they suspected that could be like involved in some sort of crimes. And they went on a killing spree. Very many young people lost their lives just because of that incident. But till now, the police has not told us who are the people who masterminded the attack of Mumias police station and stole guns and even maimed a police officer who was on guard. If a police station can be attacked, what of myself, who has no police security, who has no security?
All right. Thank you. Let's take a quick commercial break here on The Big Story. We are focusing on Matungu constituency in the county of Kakamega, where, according to police sources, over the last 2 months, more than 20 people have been killed. A spate of killings that has culminated in the Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i deploying elite units of the GSU to that area to beef up security there. Despite of that, the killings continue, the latest one being Sunday evening, where a 7-year-old boy, Malik Moi, was brutally murdered just outside his house. So we are speaking about that. When we come back, we'll take a look at how the Interior CS has been taking this, how police have been handling these particular cases of insecurity. We'll dig more at this political angle that is being pointed to. Don't go too far. This is a big story.
This is KTN News.